Nilqakom għal edizzjoni oħra tal-programm Business Chat u nirringrazzjakom mill-ewwel tal-feedback li qegħdin ittuna u fakkarkom bħas-soltu li tistgħu tagħmlu kuntatt magħna permezz tal-paġna tagħna tal-Facebook, kull ma trid tagħmel u tidħol bil-Facebook profile tiegħek normali u tfittex Business Chat Malta. U hemmhekk tagħmel like il-paġna u ssir taf aktar informazzjoni dwar il-programm, il-mistiedna tagħna u tara anki il-programmi preċedenti. Illum magħna għandna mistiedna speċjali, għandna lil Helga Ellul. Helga, welcome to the program. Thank you for finding the time to be with us, to join us on Business Chat. Helga, the first question is the same for any entrepreneur who sat in that seat during this program. How did your adventure in business in our in the local scene start off?
Well, as you know, it started quite some way back, some over 40 years back, and yes, it was actually an adventure. I had been employed already with the German company, and I knew we had the plant in Malta, a very small plant. I was there when we set it up originally, and then in fact this plant grew. We had controlled it always from Germany, so it was literally the accounts, the planning, everything was done in Germany, and Malta only got the material sent, produced, and sent it back to Germany. But it grew to a certain size. I mean, we had some 50 employees, where it was felt that we should start up a certain administration, basic administration way back in Malta. And at that time, I was working very closely with the owner. I mean, I was in fact his assistant and sales with him, and he was my mentor. And when we discussed that, I said, let me go. He said, let you go, I need you here. I said, no, but for me it would be an adventure in a different culture, setting it up. I do it, I set it up for a year and I come back. I said, for a year you can be without me. And that's how it really, literally started.
So you came here originally for 1 year?
For 1 year. To set up with Maltese personnel, to set up a small accountant, production planning, so the basic functions. And that's how my journey came after the toy fair in Germany. I packed my Volkswagen Beetle and drove destination Malta.
This is a curious fact. You came over here with your Beetle.
With my Beetle, with my painted Beetle,
yes,
very flower power.
I saw a photo of your Beetle.
Very flower power I was at that time. And as I said, it was an adventure. I mean, I think I was young enough to think only positive, had never been to Malta, knew of Malta, obviously, because of our plant, and had met some Maltese way back in Germany, who were over in Germany for training. So when I arrived in Malta, in end of February, it wasn't as bad as this February, but just as bad as well, grey and rainy and ugly, and definitely not the Mediterranean I was thinking of.
If I am understanding correctly, it was your first time here?
My first time to Malta.
And you moved here for a year?
And I moved here for a year. Packed everything in my Volkswagen and moved. So I arrived in Malta, and it was totally different to what I had expected. I expected Mediterranean, I knew Spain, I knew Greece a bit, and what I found in Malta, which for me was very, very startling, was very English. I found sort of this colonial image still in Malta at the time. We are talking 74.
Of course.
You know, so everything was very, very British, very, you get your prawn cocktail, you get your long dresses in the evening, and I said, oh my God, that is definitely totally different. Well, but anyhow, I went to the plant. We had, at that time, in the administration, there were 3 girls. So I went to these girls, I said, all right, look, we need to do that and that. They said, tell us what to do. I said, no, you tell me what I should do, because you know Malta. I don't know Malta. I don't know how things are being done here. How is the right way to go about? So, I mean, straight away, I had a very good rapport with these girls. So we were known, the factory of girls. You know, not only did we produce dolls, but we were dolls. You know, so we went to customs, we did everything ourselves.
In fact, it was known as Talpupi.
Yes, right? Talpupi. And in fact, we always laughed when we used to be at customs. They said, here they are again, our dolls, you know, when we used to come. Because at that time we had to obviously clear everything from customs, import. I mean, it was a complete different way of doing business than today. But what happened as well was that right at that time, we had launched at the toy fair in Nuremberg in '74, just after I left. We had launched Playmobil, not knowing at that time to what extent it will grow. So immediately after that, because it was straight away a success with the children, I think we grown-ups didn't know, but the children loved the toy from day one. So then the company grew exceptionally fast, and there I remained. 1 year after another, then obviously it came to the point. I met my husband straight away. After 3 years, should I stay, should I not, should we get married? The decision was for Malta, and no regrets ever. I think Malta was the best thing which ever happened to me. And the company just grew, which was as well something which I felt was beneficial for Malta, because we could be very flexible, we could be very fast. You had obviously human resources available, youngsters looking for jobs, so whatever we needed, good educated youngsters we found, contrary to at that time in Germany, where there was full employment in Germany, and young people did not want to go and work in factories.
Right.
You know, so there was almost sort of, now we want to go the ladder up. Whereas here in Malta, there were so little opportunities, so we found really good A-level students going into the factory. So we had very good material, highly educated, and we could grow very fast. So obviously we grabbed it when the situation came in Germany that we need fast. Can you get? Government was accommodating in every respect. We needed another factory, we got another factory. We employed more. So I mean, we employed constantly. And for me, that was a challenge, you know, of just growing this company and getting youngsters, training them. But then obviously what I found then over the years, establishing ourselves and whatever, that Malta was very based, even at that time, especially in our case, on the low-cost labor. I mean, labor was much, much less than in Germany. It was almost 1/10 than the labor cost in Germany. So it was based, employ people because they are still cheap. Let's call it like that. But then all of a sudden we saw the wages rising. You know, I mean, quite steadily. Obviously, more industry came to Malta. There was more competition, and also you saw all of a sudden we were unionized. So you saw this demand of rising employment costs. And I had a very good experience, which really taught me a lot. And thinking back, I think that was really the crux which started changing my thinking. We had, apart from our production line, where we plastic injection molding and assembly and all, we had as well a facility where we produced our tools, our molds, which are a very difficult process, because tool making is the top of the trade, because you have to think three-dimensional. It's millimeters or mass millimeters, so very, very accurate, because I mean, obviously the steel mold, which has an image of what you are producing in the machine, has to be so accurate and fit all together. So we had these facilities, and we had at that time some 15 tool makers, because we said, all right, with Malta being cheaper and having these people trained, it will be even more lucrative and all. And they were very, very good. But what we forgot is that in that time, there were a lot of changes in the production of molds. In fact, through the CAD/CAM and digitalization on the machines, so there were new machinery, which we did not invest in, because we said labor is cheap. We don't, because the machines are very expensive, $500,000 and so on. So we said, oh no, we don't need it. Our labor is cheap. So we actually lost out on this investment, and all of a sudden we were caught into a thing that they say from Germany, listen, you are too expensive on the mold making. You know, you're not competitive anymore. And I said, we're not competitive anymore, we close it. You know, I mean, not even thinking, when actually I was approached by another German company in Malta who says, we heard you want to close your mold making facility, we would be interested to buy it. I said, to buy it? Why does he want to buy? I have old machines, I have nothing. Till I actually say, Jesus Christ, he wants to buy my labor. He wants to buy my trained people, because they were of the highest level. So I immediately went to Germany. I said, let's buy the newest machines. We have good people. We can compete. Today, I mean, the facility employs over 100 people.
That was a huge
So
decision.
that was a wake-up call for me as well to say, forget cheap labor. Start investing in people in order to keep your competitive edge. Because if you erode it by misusing it, so I said, our people in Malta are as clever as any German or American or whatever. We have as good brains, if not better than anybody else. So let's utilize that. Give them the newest tools, the best machines, so that they can be as good as anybody else, and you keep your edge. And that really changed our whole philosophy and our whole way of thinking.
The story is really fascinating, especially the part where you invest in people, which was up to a certain extent, it was quite new. It was quite a new approach. I also read some of your previous interviews in which you said that you actually invested in getting people over to Germany and then training them there and other countries, and then so this kind of investment in HR is also an indication of you as a manager, as a person managing people. Let me ask you another thing. When we think about Malta and Germany, in this case, we think of course, they are two different countries, very, okay, we're European, but I'm sure that the opportunities in Germany are, to a certain extent, are different for sure. But I'm sure that Germany could provide further more opportunities for such a young manager as you.
I don't think so. I think the opportunities are everywhere. I don't think so. I think opportunities are for you to see. And sometimes in a huge country, because you are still in a small region or whatever, don't think you travel all over Germany. So, in fact, what I sometimes tell young people who are looking for their first jobs or starting a career, I said, don't always go for the big corporations. Because in very big, large corporations, you become straight away into a silo. You get very professional, you are in the marketing department, and there you are stuck or whatever. If you are like I had the opportunity going in a small family company, you learn everything. I mean, I was lucky that I was with the owner, he was my mentor, he took me to the shop floor, he explained the machines, the technology, the sales, why we are selling to wholesalers, why we are key accounts. So you learn the whole spectrum. You learn finance, that you have to check your figures, you have to have your credits done. So you learn all that much like in a holistic way of doing it. And I think it's much better to do that than going before you really specialize and say, all right, I want to do that, or I want to have my own business or whatever. Get a big spectrum and get hands-on. And if you find, obviously, like you find in smaller businesses, an entrepreneur, the owner, who takes you by the hand and invests in you and mentors you, that's the best you can have.
Credit is also all due to you, because I believe that you did face some challenges. I mean, but even from the employment rate, you can see that you turned a company into one of the largest in Malta. I believe you mentioned 50 employees at this time.
When I started, yes.
By the time you left, it was somewhere over 1,000.
Yeah.
So we're speaking about thousands of jobs. Besides the fact that you also contributed to bring up other entrepreneurs, to support other entrepreneurs who today have established businesses and operate that. What were your major challenges and how did you overcome them?
I mean, the major challenges were, I think, this new way of thinking of, like you said, it was very not known in Malta, in investing in people, in building people, training them. People, I mean, I remember other employers saying, but why do you invest so much? And if they know so much, they will leave you, go to your company. I said, but why not? Let them go, maybe they come back again. Continue training. I said, look, if you give the right environment, if you give the right opportunity, they will stay with you. So it is you who have to create. I said, but you are as good as your people. If you have very good people, you will achieve that quality leap. I said, and it is only them by training them. And I think people do recognize. I found, especially in Malta, where maybe, like you said, there aren't that, or were not, today there are much more, because now we are much more open and global. There weren't that many opportunities. I think youngsters really appreciated that you invested in them, that they could learn. They were keen on learning. They were keen on proving themselves. We are as good as anybody else. I mean, I remember when we designed our first machines, which were specifically for our processes, we had the machine manufacturers from Germany, we had the robotic people from Switzerland, and our engineers. Our engineers knew exactly what we wanted and worked in the team with the others. And the others, be it a German, be it a Swiss, that hands-on. I mean, they really know what they're talking about. So I mean, that I think gives you the confidence, gives you the thing, and ultimately, you as a company use this knowledge.
Helga, for you it definitely worked out, and I keep asking the question to most of the entrepreneurs I had as guests during the program. And yes, there is always a risk that someone might leave you to go to a competitor or start off his own or her own business. But at the end of the day, it's the employees that make up a big company, and investing in the employees is clearly the way forward, judging by your experience and that of other entrepreneurs. I'm afraid I will have to stop slightly now for a quick break. Aħna ħankunu magħkom minn hawn ftit tal-ħin ieħor eżatt wara dawn ir-riklami. Nilqakom għat-tieni parti tal-programm illum magħna għandna mistiedna Helga Ellul u fil-bidu tal-programm rajna kif żviluppat il-kumpanija li Helga ġiet taħdem magħha hawnhekk matul is-snin. L-iktar punt importanti forsi dak li ħareġ mill-ewwel parti tal-intervista huwa proprju l-investiment li wieħed irid jagħmel fil-ħaddiem u fit-tim tal-kumpanija tiegħu biex bekk naturalment ikompli jikber mingħajr ma wieħed joqgħod jibża ħafna li wieħed forsi jista' jitlaq mill-business jew mill-post tax-xogħol tiegħu. Helga, the final part of the interview, and I would like to make full use of your experience. Let's say you're starting your own business today. What will be your first steps?
No, you have to first make a business plan. So you have to say, all right, your figures have to tally. Deep down, at the end of the day, you are in business to make money, to create money, to create jobs. But so you have to say, all right, this is my idea. This is what I need as investment or whatever. This is what I will gain. So what is the time frame till I get my first thing? So you have to get your figures right and plan it and you need to have a plan A and a plan B. You have to have your optimistic and say, all right, if everything works exactly, but if not, how can I fall back? To what level can I do it? Because I think also one has to be realistic. If you find that you have a business idea, you started and you say it does not work at the end, take it off. Start again with something else. Don't run after something which cannot work. I mean, we all learn through mistake, learn through it, and the next time you do it again, you do it maybe cleverer. But don't run after something which then is not essential. But you need to plan before. I think the business plan is the A and O.
So planning. Would you agree when we say that innovation is the key to success?
Definitely, I think so.
Why?
I mean, today we have everything, so the only thing which we have is what we have to create is something new. So, and there's always a way of doing things differently, better, or new. And that is, I mean, you have to create something which the customers don't even know they want yet. So this is the innovation. And I mean, I think that is part, or is the fun of business genuinely, even if you are an established business. Always say, I mean, the way we have been doing things, can I do it better? Can I do it differently? Can I do it more efficient? That is a drive, that is the fun of it, of doing it better, of creating, I mean, like we had now. Taxis, or I mean, we have this rent cars that they go abroad. These are new business models which we haven't yet thought of, and young people say, all right, I don't want to own a car, but I want a car to pick up from there, and now with technology you can do it. These are things which will come.
So that's the second business plan. We mentioned
innovation,
also innovation.
New ideas.
Since we started off the program, most of our many viewers are contacting us through our Facebook page, asking questions such as reference points, contact numbers, and sometimes questions about the general business setup or business-related questions. One of the most frequently asked questions is one about funds. Does a person who has this good concept in mind, but has no funds, has no immediate funds, how can such a person start off a business?
It's difficult, and it's still one of the most difficult things. To be honest, there are now, it has gone a bit better because now we have the startup capital and Jeremy and EU funding, but still very bureaucratic. And to be honest, my new role now, being a consultant to some smaller businesses and family business, I can see it very often that this young entrepreneur or startup, they don't get the doors opened. I mean, when I come and I say, all right, let's get a meeting with a manager, I get it. And when they come with me, you get it. But they on their own still find a lot of barriers. And but it's not only in Malta, it's generally. I mean, I don't think it's the Malta syndrome. It's everywhere. When you have a good idea to try and go to a banker is not a businessman. A banker is there about risk and thing, and especially in the Maltese mentality, even more if you have a bit of money, buy property, less secure, safe, and you as a youngster have nothing. If you do not have the right contacts or friends who either help you, give you extended credit line, you have a good reference point who leads you by the hand. It's unfortunate that we don't have enough good business people in Malta, and we have quite a number who would invest and support these young entrepreneurs more, like it's done in the States and whatever, where you get investment funds. I think that we are still lacking behind.
Helga, very quickly before we close off the program, when is it the right moment? When is the right time? When is it the right time to employ a person or to increase your workforce?
When you need special skills which you don't have. I mean, let's say if you are as the entrepreneur, you have to be the one who has the vision, the holistic approach to know where to go. But then there comes a time, maybe in your business, where you need a professional, be it now in a product design, be it in marketing or whatever, which is far more professional than you are. Then get that person. Right? Because today you need to be professional. And you need to be to get the professionals. I always used to say that my team, my top management team was always people who were in their specific areas cleverer than me. Because I couldn't be an expert in everything. But I had the logic to ask them the right question, to put it all together, and to have the right way forward. And I think that's what makes you then a good entrepreneur, a CEO.
Helga, we have come to the final part of our program, and the final question is the same question for all of our guests. What suggestions or tips can you share with those who are thinking about starting off their own business?
Look, the most important is that whatever business you go in, you have a passion for it. Ultimately, it's the passion which drives you. If you have to live it 24/7, so if you are not totally convinced yourself, knowing it, sure about it, and living it with a passion, how can you make others believe in you?
That's a very good advice, actually. Helga, thank you for finding the time to attend this interview. It was a pleasure having you here. Mela llum magħna kellna lil Helga Ellul, matul il-programm tkellimna dwar diversi temi fosthom iżda b'mod prinċipali l-aspett tar-riżorsa umana u kif wieħed jista' jagħmel l-aħjar użu mir-riżorsa umana fil-kumpanija tiegħu, speċjalment billi jinvesti fl-edukazzjoni u t-taħriġ matul il-karriera tal-individwu. Nirringrazzjak Helga mill-ġdid, nirringrazzjaw ukoll il-Nenu The Artisan Bakery li bħassoltu jospitana u llum għandna lil Isaac biex naraw xi preparatilna l-kċina ta' Nenu.
Ftira tradizzjonali u stuffat tal-laħam taż-żiem mill-patata u l-ħaxix. Okay?
Grazzi Isaac, Business Chat jerġa' jkun magħkom bħall ġimgħa fl-istess ħin. Grazzi tal-attenzjoni.